I'll make sure there.
There's a flag up behind this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Something I'm looking for.
Okay. I'd like to call the Winfield Plan Commission to order. Please stand for the flag. The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. We could have a roll call, please.
John Dewinski,
Present.
Mark Nelson, Tim Clayton,
Present.
Dave Anderson, Joe Gacy,
Here.
Jim Hajic,
Here.
Bill Metzger. Representing town manager is Nick Bellar.
Here.
I'm Deborah Britters, assistant town planner and zoning administrator. Brian Dumeyer,
Present.
Sean Benny,
Here.
representing DLZ.
Thank you. You have the minutes in front of you for April 15, 2025 meeting. Hopefully you've had a moment to review and make comments if needed. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the April 15th, 2025 meeting.
Motion by Tim, is there a second? Second. Second by Jim. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well, thank you very much. We do not have any old business on the agenda. Moving forward to new business. Item number 1, docket PC 2025-06. This is the secondary plat approval for Grand Ridge Phase 3, 44 lots. The owner and petitioner are Grand Ridge LLC in the vicinity of 103rd in Grand, actually 10317 Grand Boulevard, and this is the request for the secondary plat, the approval for the secondary plat. So,
Hi, good evening.
is there a mic? Is there a mic for Mr. Carroll? All right, John.
Talk loud. Just talk loud.
All right, go ahead, John. Thank you.
No problem. I'm John Carroll, President of Providence Real Estate Development. We're here presenting our Phase 3 of Grand Ridge, the next phase. It's 44 lots total, includes 16 of our Sterling lots and I believe 28 of our signature lots total. That's the record. Just as far as I understand, we've met all staff comments and concerns and just requesting approval for this.
Thank you. Nick, do you have anything, or Deb, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything additional to add.
Nope, it meets all criteria.
Are there any questions from any board members to the petitioner? Again, this is just a secondary plat approval. We've gone through this in the other phases, so I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a favorable recommendation for secondary plat approval for Grand Ridge Phase 3, 44 lots.
There's a motion by Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that a...
No, I'm late. Aye.
You're an aye. Okay, so 4-0. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Good luck. Moving on to item number 2, recommendation to the Town Council, the performance bond establishment for Grand Ridge Phase 3. Is this Sean going to talk about this? Thank you.
This is the establishment of the performance bond for that Phase 3 of Grand Ridge. All the improvements plus the 10% contingency in the amount of $1,520,680.51.
How's it looking out there, Sean?
All right. I know there were some erosion control issues that they need to take care of on the previous phases.
Okay. And not related to Phase 3?
Not related to
this
this
recommendation? Okay, very well. And you're good with these numbers? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to recommend this to the town council for the performance bond establishment for Grand Ridge Phase 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a favorable recommendation to the town council for the performance bond establishment for the Grand Ridge Phase 3 in the amount of $1,520,680.51.
There's a favorable recommendation from Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, John. Moving on to item number 3, discussion item, residential development, Lennar, vicinity of 5510 East 117th Avenue. Good evening, gentlemen.
I'm not blocking any live stream cameras by doing this.
Looks like you're good.
I guess we'll find out.
Good evening. My name is Todd Leith. I'm an attorney representing Lennar Homes. Lennar was before you, I think, maybe in February, a little while ago, to discuss preliminary plans for a project which has now been named Heron Landing. It's a little over 80 acres. It lies south of Halesworth and north of 117th. Kind of a rectangular parcel. I'm working on a PUD. We're going to do a plan unit development for this. PRD, as your ordinance refers to it. I'll be working with your council in getting that done. But I'm down to the nitty-gritty details, which we're trying to work with you all on what those are, sizes and styles and all of the things that we know that are important to you. With that, I'm going to ask Todd Clevin from Lennar to come forward, discuss the project, discuss the architecture, discuss the layouts. Manhard Consulting, Mike Moore is here. I know that the engineering is well underway and nearing completion, so that's giving me some of the details that will fall into the PUD as well. With that, Todd, you want to take it over?
Good evening, guys. Good seeing you again, as always, and ladies. As Todd mentioned, we were here on February 13th. For the record, Todd Clevin, Vice President of Land, Lennar Homes. Our offices reside at 1700 East Gulf Road, Suite 11 in Schaumburg, Illinois. As also Todd indicated, we have our entire team here. Luke Ricky is our finance manager. Andre is our acquisition manager. Todd Leith just introduced himself, and Michael Moore is the engineer in the project. The reason we're in front of you again this evening is just for discussion purposes, as we're moving forward and we are prepared to submit our final engineering and our PUD on July 1st, or wherever date corresponds with that submittal for the next planning commission meeting. Last time we were here, we went over the concept, and we went over the home site sizes, and I believe we left with a pretty favorable, and received very favorably to continue. The only pushback that we did have was the type of road that was configured at the main entrance. We did turn it into a cul-de-sac and remove the paperclip type of configuration. We also connected the walking paths. Jim, I know you brought something up. You wanted to see something connect here. It did not go over well within our division due to the home values that are often impacted. So we decided to connect up here and down here. We do have 80-foot frontage at the building lines, and we do have 150 feet of depth on the home site size itself. The elephant in the room is the roundabout, and that's mainly why we're here, is to make sure we're all on the same page and discuss how we can bring that to fruition. Lennar is definitely willing to entertain of how we can bring that roundabout construction on or about the same time that we begin our construction. There is a lot that's going to go into that as far as the financing. We've talked about TIF districts, and again, we're willing to entertain some way to bring that to fruition sooner than later. Unfortunately, it is a chicken or an egg type of situation. What I'm showing you here is basically what the finished product would look like, and that's what our entrance would look like. Typically, we don't throw this much detail into our concept renderings, but I wanted you guys to actually see what it would look like. Unfortunately, Gibson Street resides west of the section line. So this is the most important poster that I have in front of you right here. Kind of bring it up closer if I need to, or maybe Luke, if you can throw it up on the screen on the slide, that'd be great. What we're showing in red is the location and the concept sizing of this proposed roundabout. What we're showing shaded in black is the existing intersection at 117th Avenue. So you can see the T intersection almost resides completely to the west of the proposed roundabout. What we're showing in green is what we're here to ask you this evening. We would like to temporarily install the green as we figure out the red. We would put that in on our dollar and we would actually remove it when this roundabout goes in. And I'm hoping we can build this roundabout no different than the way they built the one on 231 at the entrance to the new hospital. They never did shut down 231. They were able to utilize the existing road, build the south half, divert the new traffic to the south half, and then build the north half. So I'm pretty sure there's a way that can be mimicked here, so we're not shutting down a major thoroughfare to your municipality. We don't know the exact details other than the geometry of this roundabout. Mike, I believe this roundabout is the size of the one that was built on 109th Avenue, is that correct? So one time you guys were talking making a smaller roundabout. The second meeting, I think you said no, it's going to be what we call the turbo roundabout. Again, we will entertain either improving it all on our own, working with the adjacent developer. I did reach out to that developer. I've not heard back from him yet. But we want to just kind of first and foremost present the concept of the chicken and the egg sort of thing, where we would actually improve the green and then at some point, and I'm not talking years later, probably in the same year, the construction season, build that roundabout like that. I know the pole products were also a concern, so we did print out the renderings of the homes that we're proposing in the community. I think your ordinance right now talks about 20% brick. I did hear that that might go up to a larger percentage. One thing that we are struggling with internally is when we actually lock in that percentage, it's very hard to meet that or supersede it. So we are, regardless, we're going to attach these renderings to the actual PDR. So you have your architecture there, but I'd rather present the renderings themselves and have those approved versus just saying, okay, whatever you build, go 60% brick. I'd rather, so we're all on the same page, we know exactly what's going to be built, we know exactly the color palettes, and it'll all be incorporated into the PDR document. So with that, I'll open it up to the questions that you have. Again, this is the main concern of ours. If we can get an agreement on this, we can probably move forward and take that submittal by July 1st. Thank you.
Best you want to build this out?
We would like to start moving dirt this year.
Once you're starting construction of homes, how fast? I mean,
We'll probably start 4 months.
I mean, I know you build them without. I mean, you're building them no matter what. You're not waiting on sales typically.
Right, yeah, we're 95% within the So 146 home sites divided by 3 is what? 50. So just under 4 years.
Oh, 3.
We're selling about 120 a year at Aylesworth.
Yeah. No, I know. No. That's why. I mean, I'm asking that because it concerns me. Like your analogy, chicken egg analogy. Like, I know how you guys build, and
Well, there's definitely some risk there.
right.
You know,
And that's all. I'm just. That's my concern. That's all.
Now, the other benefit of this project is that we'll connect to 109th Avenue to 17th, so you'll have another connection other than just Randolph and State Street. It'll help relieve some of the traffic on those two outskirts.
Is that gonna,
100%
is that gonna be more, is that gonna be a different width, a thoroughfare width, or is
Yes,
that?
it's a 75 foot right away, just like we have to do in Hansford. But it's also a wider road back to curb. It's probably the curb width on the main thoroughfare. 32. It's definitely wider than the other roads.
Oh, you,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, no, go ahead.
Just, yeah, well, mine doesn't really matter. What's the name of that street? Is that gonna be Gibson?
Yes,
And then does that connect to Gibson, or are we gonna have a problem up there?
it connects essentially to Green Place.
Okay. I wonder if the fire department's gonna have an issue with the same street changing names somewhere.
It doesn't change in line. It hits a stop sign, it turns, and then Green Place continues.
Okay. All right, gotcha. Do you have anything else you want to add, Nick? I mean, have you looked at this yet?
Oh, I've looked at it several
Open
times.
space requirements met or anything like that, or?
It does meet the open space requirements.
Okay.
The less that you go, the easier it is to meet the open space and the park dedication requirements. And they do meet that.
Do you have any other concerns, comments for this board?
We'll just have to work out in the PDR document, sort of the staging of a road entrance and sort of conditions of, to Todd's point, of, reaching an agreement on how to tackle the roundabout.
And what the trigger is when that has to be put in by?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, then you could have
Yeah.
some sort of, has to be started by, something.
Yeah.
A date or an approved lot, how many permits have been pulled.
Well, like I
Or
said,
phase,
That's all
yeah.
stuff that can be
Yeah.
figured out in the
Okay.
PDR.
it's like I said, some of my concern is you haven't even acquired the land on the other corners, it sounds like, and you haven't heard back. So is right away going to be an issue?
That's the reason there's a chicken or egg type of thing. There's so much work that will go into this right away. What falls on us as a developer, what falls on the town, or you can see that being a very lengthy
Right.
process. And to your point, yes, there's going to be right away acquisition in the southwest corner. This shouldn't be a problem because that's owned by a developer.
Mhm.
And then we own everything on the north side, or we'll own everything on the north side. I always try to put myself, I know it's on the table when you're answering and speaking to your constituents. Development and progress is going to happen. It's the benefits that that development brings along with it. The fact that we're connected up 109 to 117, the fact that it looks like it's going to expedite the new roundabout, road improvements. The one thing I failed to mention is what was a really big selling point with some residents on State Street when we did Aylesworth. We actually were able to capture a lot of that runoff that they were experiencing in our community. We're going to do the same thing here. So currently, I believe it's 85% that we actually are going to be retaining or detaining on the property. So it's just that much less than most current homeowners that are currently seeing standing water and high rains that they're going to be relieved of.
Is that great for ditch up there?
So great ditch is a subsurface drain tile. You can only carry so much. So we'll cut that drain tile just like we did in Aylesworth, and we'll run that through our stormwater management system and provide additional attention for that. I think, anything else to add to that? I'll leave it and put it through.
No, that summarizes it.
You had a percentage before with Aylesworth as to what lots back up to green space. Do you know what that is on this? Because it was a pretty substantial number in Aylesworth.
It is well over 70%, that's just doing a quick calculation.
Okay.
Do you have an idea, Todd?
Actually, it's-
Go ahead.
If you look at this, we only have 5 lots that back up to other lots.
All right.
I mean, you're-
Couple back there.
They're all backing up to some sort of amenity or some green space or it's the property.
You have something, Jim?
What's that intersection gonna look like if we approve your green? What, is that gonna be a light? Is that gonna be a two-way stop?
This has actually been designed, so we will not have to impact this. This will be set back far enough So when we come in and we remove the green and build the red, all of the entrance monumentation will be outside of these areas. So when this is ultimately removed and this is constructed, this is already intact. So you're pretty much going to have this type of entrance, which is very important to us when we sell our homes. You have to have that sense of arrival. So really the only thing that's going to change, this road is currently would do this, about the tangent point of this cul-de-sac here.
No, I get that.
You're saying like
Yeah.
excel and decel
Well, I'm just.
is really what it is right
You
now?
know, so that's 117th, and there's.
It would probably just be a stop sign coming out of the neighborhood. I think
That's
what
what
Jim's
I'm trying to
asking.
figure out.
Yeah.
Probably gonna come
How are we
to the
controlling
traffic
traffic from the north and from the south?
study. The traffic study will probably give a recommendation on what needs to be.
I don't want to
As
speak.
I mean, I don't have any problem with the green to keep things going. I just need to know for now that
What we have
that
in the
can't be the end all. That's all. You know, it's
I think, I agree, Jim, and you're not gonna build the back of the subdivision first. We're not gonna have that connecting street for a while, it sounds like. Or is that a fair statement?
This area.
Yeah, I just don't wanna bring in more traffic to this intersection than the first 50 lots is what I'm getting at.
We would.
How are you gonna phase this?
Whatever you ask us to
Yeah,
do.
how are you gonna phase it? And then there's gonna be a trigger.
Later, and we'd have stipulations that gotta go in, we would put that in. If you want us to purposely not connect it for whatever reason. Once we actually have an agreement with this chicken and egg situation, we will then engage the traffic engineer to study how that temporary intersection would be managed, whether it's a four-way stop or two-way stop. And then obviously the roundabout.
Like I said, I'm sure the traffic study will reveal all this, but it's imperative. I mean, that's got a ton of traffic for the school.
Not adding the extra
School
on there
traffic,
before the
morning and
roundabout
night
hits.
is just, it's a madhouse there. So you can't close it to put a roundabout in. We gotta work around that. I get you. But I mean, obviously the studies will tell us all that.
You know, I drove that roundabout by the hospital every day when they were building it. I was really impressed how they were able to keep that open. And that's probably 20,000 cars a day, if not more.
Yeah, personally, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody. I like it. I think we could work with the green, but there's some fine tuning we're gonna have to work with it.
Originally, when we met with staff, we proposed an upfront contribution, just like we did at Aylesworth, and Nick alluded the fact that the town would rather see us expedite this and become part of this and to help bring it to fruition sooner than later. It's expensive, obviously, you know, 146 home sites won't pay for that, so we need to figure that out. We'll have a conversation here. Hopefully, there's some cooperation, maybe some developing this out. I personally feel one developer should build it, not two. Just keep it streamlined in the logistics of it. And if the finances allow it, I have no problem taking the lead to build that roundabout in town.
Those are four. Are those the four renderings, or we still have to do that yet?
Those are just examples.
Those are just examples.
So
Okay.
the actual you guys call it PDR, right?
Yes.
So the PDR will actually have every option, when I say option, elevation. So typically every home has 3 different elevations. So we have 5 home numbers, so we have 15 homes.
I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, at this level, I'm good. I'd like to see the homes, obviously. I'd like to see them even a step up from what you've done before. You know, kind of start that as the bar and move up. But again, that's to be discussed as we move along.
Yeah, Dave Anderson, I think, gave us some actual photographs of the homes that are in Aylesworth that we'd like to see. That is a different lineup. We have 3 different products out there. This is a product that this is the lineup we're not built, and we'll build that. But we understand the difference.
Looks good.
What are the size lots again?
80 by 150.
80 by 150?
Now, when I say at the building line, obviously, because some of these that are
Cul-de-sacs.
cul-de-sacs, you know, they pie down.
Yeah, they'll pie.
Definitely maintain the 80 foot at the building line.
All right.
I think it's a great idea. Joe, you got anything to add?
Well, yeah, what's the average square footage on most of these homes?
On the home, we don't have to work with.
About 2,500.
2,500. And the average cost, what's your entry level
It
cost?
should definitely be above 530,000.
Oh, very nice.
These slides up here actually have the square footage at the top.
We're doing the same product in St. John, Indiana. We just opened up Astoria. I think we have 2 sales out there. The last one was 550.
That's a good starting price.
Compared to the lots that you did in Aylesworth,
Yes.
what was the width on those?
Neighborhoods look very
Those lots
nice.
were 70 and 62.
So you're going bigger, bigger lots.
Any other comments?
I'm good.
Good.
We're good. Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate the time. Appreciate
Thanks,
the
sir.
support.
Thanks, Ted.
We'll finalize the engineering and try to have everything to you on time. First week of July, whatever that deadline is. And,
First business day in July.
we'll do that for the rezone and the prior plan approval.
Okay.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, guys.
I'm running thin on this one. This guy, tell me the property owners want to do work.
No. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on to item number 4, another discussion item or another residential development. This is Diamond Peak Homes in the vicinity of 11500 Randolph. And I believe we've heard part of this before as well. Between those two.
What you got going on here, Mike?
Oh, you know.
So far, I like what they're doing behind me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Herbers with Diamond Peak Homes, representing Latitude Development LLC, 1313 White Hawk Drive in Crown Point. In front of you here, and I do have some handouts that I will hand out some hard copies for everybody. And similar to Lennar, I do have my team behind me as well, so.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. In front of you, you have the property that is north of our Latitude development off of Randolph Street, well, 117th, but this is off of Randolph Street. Here we have 196 single-family homes. We have run through a handful of different iterations on this property. We did have some cottage homes shown here, but we pulled those out. We did originally show all 70-footers, some were 60-footers, but we did change that to majority of 70-foot wide lots, and then the back section being 80-foot wide lots. Working with Nick, obviously, it's the town's vision to have commercial along Randolph Street there, so we do have, I think it's right around 13 acres of commercial. I did bring an iteration of this back to you guys in November. I know there was a concern with traffic along Randolph Street. We did complete a traffic study. What that showed was obviously XL and decel lanes into the neighborhood. There would need to be a left turn lane into the neighborhood as well off of Randolph. And then the traffic light was kind of the big question mark. It really depends on the users of the commercial spaces that will tip that one way or another to make that a traffic light. Obviously, we are leaning towards a traffic light there just so we don't have to, I guess, hold anyone back. Obviously, if there's some sort of QSR, quick service restaurant there, that would really increase the trip counts in that area, so it would pretty much automatically require a traffic light there. So that is the route we are electing to go. Some other key points, we did try and eliminate as many backyard neighbors as possible. There is just kind of a little pod right here in the middle where there are backyard neighbors there. The rest do back up to some of the natural green space on the property or the detention as well. Of course, there will be a 50-foot landscape buffer between the residential on the east side of the property and that commercial piece. So we do plan on buffering that nicely, so depending on what commercial uses go there, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's directly in your backyard. I guess we can touch base on the architecture a little bit that you plan on bringing here. In front of you, we do have some homes that we have built in Latitude. Since Latitude, we have added another, I think it's 3 to 5 home plans, and are continually working on revising elevations, adding elevations, tweaking elevations. Obviously, anti-monotony is a big thing in Winfield, and it is appreciated because when you do drive through the neighborhoods, it is nice to break everything up. So here we just have, I think it's 8 floor plans shown here. We probably have 12 to 15 of our kind of standard lineup, and each one of those do have 2 to 3 different elevations, and of course a slew of color schemes as well. So, you know, obviously building in Latitude, we know how important anti-monotony is. So moving forward, this development as well, you know, we do plan on keeping that near and dear to our hearts as well, and avoid any sort of repetitiveness throughout that community. So that being said, again, this is kind of here for discussion, you know, so we can work on taking the next step and moving forward with starting this development.
Do you have anything, Nick, before we have any questions for the board members?
No, nothing at this time. There has, to Mike's point, there has been several iterations of this, probably over the past year and a half, I would say.
Okay.
This is the latest one.
I see the old date on the bottom. That's what threw me off, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That tells you how long, how many iterations there's been, how long.
So I'm not a traffic expert by any means. Hopefully, Sean, have you seen a traffic study for this? Because obviously my concern is the school, and I don't know if the traffic study addresses the peak times at the school. I mean, there's events there that they park
Personally
cars up
seen
and
it.
down Randolph, so. Have you seen it?
I've not personally seen it.
Do these, in your expertise, these traffic studies address those peak situation times?
They typically do.
Okay.
We use DVG for the traffic study out here, so obviously they're a local company. I think they subcontract their traffic counts out to a different firm, but then they compile all the data. So I can share that if you would like,
Yeah.
or hold off until kind of more of the.
That would just be part of any kind of submittal package. They have to submit a.
Understood. Understood. So similar to the last presentation, I mean, would you put the light in right away? If we're talking, I know you said we're leaning towards the light, and you guys were too, so.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
The correct answer is yes. The correct answer is yes, so.
Nick, is the school,
Yeah.
then, do we talk to the school at all about that light being there and them?
I have not. I don't know if the developer has or not.
Have you talked to the school?
Not yet, no.
I would say would only help the situation out there in the mornings.
Tend to agree.
Yes. You have kids there, right?
Yeah, they have kids, and they have somebody assisting traffic every morning there, so this will definitely help out.
They can have somebody control that light and make it go.
Yep.
I'm just afraid it's gonna back up and make it even potentially worse. Because if you have an individual there that's thinking and can direct traffic is different than a light.
Well, I'm hopeful the engineering study, says, and I'm not an engineer,
Right.
maybe the decel lane, the turning lane is really long, the staging lane, whatever you want to call it, it's enough to account for those counts. I don't know, I guess we'll see what they
We'll have
say.
to wait and see on that one.
Right. 'Cause that's my biggest concern. I think, your 70-foot wide lots?
Yeah, majority are 70, and then the southwest corner, we'll call it, these are all 80-foot.
That's the big one.
And I'll jump in because I'm sure Joe's going to ask it since he asked the last developer, the, price point and home sizes and.
Yeah.
So price point, home size, again, we're probably right in line in average, home size of Lennar, probably right around 2,500 square feet. Again, we have some, low 2,000, story and halves, and then we have some, 3,000 plus square foot home plans as well. Again, the sweet spot, a lot of people are right between that 24 and 2,700 square feet is what the majority of our homes. Price point right now in Latitude, I think we're averaging probably the high 500s. Again, some of those homes are 650 plus. And I guess one thing I forgot to mention on kind of the elevations and architecture, we are, with this development, I think this will be our first development that every front elevation will be all LP, well, minus the masonry on it. So you won't see any vinyl in the front of the house. It will be all the LP smart side. And then, of course, the 3 other sides will be vinyl, but the curb appeal will definitely be increased, from what you see in Latitude right now as well.
What's the average width on these homes as compared to a 70-foot lot?
Average width, we're probably right around 50 feet, give or take. Of course, you got a 30-car garage, you might be right around 60. So
On 70-foot lot?
On a 70-foot lot, yes.
So that's gonna make some of the setbacks tight, or side setbacks.
That would all be part of the PDR.
We do have the standard in our code about at least one of the side yards has to be 10. So
Right.
that
10
should be
and to-
something,
It's 15 total, 10
it
on
would
one
have to be
side.
minimally, it would have to be 15 total to meet the code.
That would limit you to basically 55, or maybe 60 if you balance it both ways, right?
Maybe that's an adjustment of lot widths needed to account for the larger homes.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, I do, that 5-foot side lot compared to somebody's backyard, it's overwhelming for the neighbor who's already existing. I mean, I've talked to Nick about that with one of my neighbors that has that concern. And that 55-foot lot, or 55-foot home on a 70-foot lot, and bumping up against a residence that's already existing with a 5-foot, ooh, it's pretty overwhelming, because, I mean, you're looking at a wall, and you're looking out your back door. I mean, you're not looking at any scenery, you're just looking at the side of a house with windows. I don't know if we can do something a little different to,
You think like a 75-foot lot minimum? Or?
yeah, you know, give the existing neighbor, or even the new neighbor, a little opportunity to have some distance in their sight, even though that 5 feet doesn't seem like enough, but at least a little more sunlight can come in his backyard.
Yeah, I mean, you saw from the last proposed development, they were at 80, and that's kind of what the town's striving towards, you know. So 75 or 80 would be preferable, in my opinion.
Right, okay, yeah, and I guess I'll just go back to, I think I mentioned it in November as well, of course. We kind of took your comprehensive plan, which again is just a comprehensive plan that kind of gives some light. In this area of the town, you were planning higher density mixed-use development. We did try to exceed that with all single family here. Of course, you know, with the request of kind of a smaller footprint home, or smaller footprint lot, you know, smaller than the 80 footers that you guys like to see, so.
I'd just like to see more of them, Mike.
Pardon me?
I'd like to see more of them. I'm not telling you to do them all in 80,
Right.
because you're not gonna do that coming up towards the commercial anyways.
Right.
I'd just like to see more. You've got a little corner in the back that's 80, and, you know, maybe you stage it. You do more 80 in the back, and then you 75, and then you come up to 70 at the front.
Okay.
I mean, something like that.
I tend to agree with that.
I would be more in line with that.
That North-South Street right there on the east side of the lot, does that connect? I don't remember where we're at on that. Does that connect to the?
I think by lot 12.
No, up top.
Up here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that would connect.
that will connect to pre-existing right now, which then could take that all the way to 109th. So anybody, it looks like that the main entrance then lines up. If I'm correct now, I need your
That
help on
comes
this
in.
one. That's the student drop-offs right there.
Yes.
Where it'll line up. The buses now move.
Correct.
So that could alleviate some traffic coming off of Randolph, coming from the other subdivisions that way.
Well, it doesn't
Cutting
connect to 109, it connects up, that doesn't? No.
Yeah, you can go all the way through.
You zigzag.
Yeah, you'll zigzag.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you can zigzag, so then it'll take all of those houses up there. Anybody can come through and zigzag it into the drop-off, so that will alleviate a little bit, but it's still the elephant in the room is the
Yeah.
traffic on Randolph there.
Traffic and, yeah, the high peak volume times is my
Mhm.
concern with the school. How deep is the commercial area?
I believe that was 300 or 350 feet deep, I think, from center line of road.
Okay. And then I would assume, this might be a question for Nick in planning, would any access to those commercial lots would not be off of Randolph? It would have to come off?
We would plat a no access easement on the Randolph frontage, probably 5 feet wide or something, just whatever.
What I would
just
assume,
to
just
prevent it. And
making sure that's
it
out
would be
there.
access roads from that main road that goes into this project.
Want let's call it a boulevard or whatever that,
Yeah.
Arrows.
Okay.
We would have.
yeah, that would be a no game for me. That would be
you
an
can't
absolute,
have-
we're not doing that.
We're not doing any cuts into Randolph.
Okay. Just so we're clear. Any other comments? Tim, anything else? Tim? Deb? All right.
We have one comment. Adding to Tim's comment actually about using that north-south street parallel to Randolph for kids, for parents to use to drop kids off. I, being a older mom, you know, if you're living in the subdivision or subdivision to the north, you're going to drag your kid in your pajamas, pull in the parking lot, drop them off in the commercial area, and you know, use that. They have a crossing guard anyway. So if you're going to be in a rush, like moms do, you know, in and out is quicker. If there would be added space for pedestrian crossing, maybe doing like a loading box, so to speak, so kids can walk across Randolph with crossing guard.
What, a tunnel or a bridge?
That's very valid. It's very valid there
That's
because
what
it's
they're gonna do.
yeah. And if there's definitely like I'll call it, as you said, crossing guard or the police there, the traffic control that they have there, that's actually a good idea with that. So
It alleviates traffic off of Randolph, for sure.
highly recommend getting a hold of the school, letting the school know.
Agreed.
Having that conversation with them, because this development will highly impact not just the residents of our town, but everybody that attends the Jerry Ross School, which is not only residents of our town, but also the development to the east there. So,
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I agree with Jim, you know, kind of stage it maybe to see a little bit more. I'm not saying it has to be all 80, agreed. Stage it in, and then, you know, I'd like to have our engineers look at the traffic plan, because, I mean, it sounds great, and you know, but again, I'm not an engineer. Maybe adding that traffic to that residential street's a bad thing. I don't know. You know, what's that going to do to the other kids? Maybe now you have your house and your kids out there playing, and there's a lot of traffic that you wouldn't expect in a residential neighborhood. I don't know. So, those are my questions. But I do like the way you're going with it. I like the houses, at least what you show us here, so.
Yep. Almost there.
Do you have any other questions for us?
and I like your creativeness because there is a lot of water on that parcel. So,
Looks good.
yeah.
Are these any of these ponds wet bottom ponds, or?
I believe they would all be wet bottom, yes.
Okay. And then the bass and going which one? And the bass going which one? And walleye going which one?
You did.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike. All right. Moving forward. Item number 5. This is a public hearing and a recommendation to the town council. Update to the town code, chapter 156, zoning regarding annexation. So staff comments. First of all, has this been properly advertised and notified?
It has.
Thanks.
Peter, Nick.
Mr. Deutmeyer, has this been properly advertised and
It has.
notified? Thank you very much.
We were given enough advance notice to get it in the newspapers
Very
on
well.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, do you have anything else you'd like to add on this?
The council is requesting some additional flexibility. And this whole thing is around annexation, and the council is requesting some additional flexibility when it comes to consideration of annexation petitions that we may receive. This code modification, which you see in your packet, addresses that and provides that flexibility.
Okay. At this time, I will open this up to a public hearing. Does anyone here like to speak either for or against this? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing at this time. Thank you very much. And we'll turn it over to the board for any discussion we have at this. Any questions for Nick or Ryan or anybody at this time?
No. The only thing that I say about it is, so if for annexation, I feel that it is, if there is a problem with it, then it falls on the elected officials of the town for such a big decision that making, because you're creating and changing possibility of the size of the town with any annexation. So it holds the elected officials, I think, responsible for that. So, and it changes it, and that a lot of the state already does it that way. So,
Right.
This is just falling in line with a lot of how the state is, so.
Okay. And Nick, you said for future are there any annexations currently filed?
We don't have anything on file right now.
Okay. So this is for anything in the future. Sounds good. Any other discussions from board members? Okay, I'll entertain a favorable recommendation to the town council, if so be it.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a favorable recommendation to the town council for the update to the town code 156 zoning regarding annexation.
Recommendation from Tim, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any discussion? Hearing all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed to this? Very well. Consideration of the Plan Commission Resolution 2025-01. I believe I'll ask Nick, how do we want to handle this?
This is just sort of restating the certification in resolution format.
Is there a resolution? Oh, it's on the sheet, 2025. And this is, again, a favorable recommendation? Or just adopt?
You would just adopt the resolution.
Adopt the resolution, okay. I'll entertain such motion from anyone to adopt this resolution.
I'm not sure I'm even on what you're talking about.
It's subsection 4 under item number 5. It's just the official, I guess, for lack of a better term, certification,
That's what you have in your right hand, Joe.
basically to the town council that this is the wishes of the,
This is the resolution, correct?
This is the actual.
Or the recommendation, excuse me.
right.
So Jim would read that title only. So
Yeah.
I would assume so. Great.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-1, resolution in title only, a resolution recommending an ordinance amending ordinance number 23 titled, an ordinance amending certain sections of Title 15 of the Town Code pertaining to land usage, certain provisions, building regulations, construction, subdivision control, and zoning in the town of Winfield, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto, and repealing all ordinances and town code provisions or portions thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. There's a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Joe on this one. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well, 4-0. Thank you for that favorable recommendation. All right, moving on to item number 6. This is another discussion item, the town code changing regarding the floodplain development. Would this be you, Deb?
I'll take this
You don't mind?
So from time to time, federal and state like to mandate updates to their regulatory programs and plans. And this is part of our administrative process of updating our regulated floodplain. So it's been in a process for about a year. The town has strong language on preservation and stormwater and soon-to-be wetlands. So the best agreed way to do this was to formally put it in its own appendix. So what you see is in section 153.01, the statutory authorization and scope is admitting it as an amendment to our code, but also recognizing it added only as an appendix.
Okay.
I think also something that's important about what we're doing here as far as this update is, historically the town has sort of had a policy of deterring floodplain development because obviously floodplain development's a bad idea. This codifies that policy and makes it sort of part of the development review process. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to put this in the floodplain, and we say no, previously they could say, well, your code doesn't say anything, doesn't speak to this. Now it will.
I would just assume the state would say, isn't there some kind of, Sean, some kind of IDAM rule or something?
There are ways to develop in the floodplain.
There's ways to get around
Construction
it.
methods available.
I guess I was just confused because we're talking about the floodplain with this title flood damage prevention, so that's on me, but okay. So basically this is cleaning up the code again as we
It is.
pretty much do every.
It's a clean up and an update.
The floodplain is regulated by FEMA, and it's enforced by DNR. So that's the federal policy versus state agency. So we're just updating it too.
Should we spell out specific organizations, government? What if FEMA goes away? Then we have code in there that we have to come back and change the code.
Well, I guess we would have to, we would just update it. We can only sort of modify the code to the current landscape.
I mean, we can't be more generic.
I wouldn't.
No?
Well, that's I think that was the discussion too, and the purpose of leaving it as an appendix, because our town code is so much stronger with our construction standards and our materials and engineering that,
Okay.
you know, it's not going to greatly impact or change how our departments work.
Essentially, just so everybody understands, you know, we would only use this if somebody wanted to develop in the floodplain. That's it. It doesn't affect anywhere else in town, in any other situation. That's, to Deb's point, the importance of putting it in its own appendix. This is separate rules, set of rules for this specific situation. And the code is updated to say, we don't like this, basically.
Do other communities do this as well, similarly?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
What
I think Deb said, you said that this has been an ongoing process. You guys have been working on this for quite a while right now.
For a long time,
And going back and forth.
correct.
Because if I'm correct, they wanted lighter standards.
Who's they?
DNR and that. They wanted lighter standards.
They wanted it more flexible.
Correct.
We're typically more strict
Yeah.
than all agencies.
They wanted, we shouldn't get into it, but this is just what the request here is just authorized for a public hearing.
I guess that was my question, what's the motion there, so?
Yep, just motion to send a public hearing for the July meeting.
Yeah, I'll entertain such a motion.
I'll make that motion to send this to public hearing.
Okay, motion by Tim,
Second?
second by Jim. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very well. Send it to the public hearing. All right, who do we want to start with? Mr. Deutmeyer.
I have nothing to report.
Engineering, Nick, Deb,
No report.
Monica?
Okay.
You did a great job. Tony, anything you'd like to add? No. Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by anybody?
So seconded.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Very first. Very first.
Numero uno.
Yeah, wait, yeah, they have to be. Oh, no. Yeah, there's camera there.
Get your